Good. So we are live on multiple platforms. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Hi. And since we normally get the most engagement on TikTok, please feel free to put your US immigration questions in the chat, and I will try to address as many as I can today. I do not have a particular topic to address today, so I'm not going to go and discuss a particular topic. I will just address your questions. It was a particular thing that this weekend, so I traveled to Mexico this past week for a couple of days, and on the way back, I went through the airport in Mexico City and in Miami. And I want to share something about my experience because it applies to so many of our clients. So everybody comes to the United States and they go, generally speaking, through an airport and they have to follow certain processes. So before boarding in Mexico City, you have to go through immigration. You have to show them your passport, your valid visa, and yeah, you have to show them your passport, your valid visa. They verify that. Then they tell you which gate. You go through the whole thing. You check your luggage. You have to follow certain rules to go through that. So did that, right? Then we landed in Miami and we were on the runway for about an hour after we landed. Then we landed early, so I can't complain. And then we ended up at the gate about 45 minutes to an hour later. It was a very, very long walk from there all the way outside to the car. But the whole thing was the process that we had to follow. So we got out of the plane. We had to follow and go towards passport control. So you are very directed as to where you are going. If you really think about it, it's all cordoned off. You are all going through that. And then you take the Sky Train to get to passport control. They tell you cannot get off at this stop and this stop. It's the third stop you can get off. And then you get off there and there is more corridors that you have to follow. And then you get to passport control and they split US citizens this way, non-US citizens another way. And then on the US citizens side, you have mobile passport control, you have global entry, you have everyone else. Permanent residents generally go through the US citizen line as well, unless the officer directs you someplace else. Also, those that are not US citizens, depending on which country, they go through separate lines. Canada goes through a separate line and so on. And I noticed how people just can't stick to the proper line. And we were hearing conversations, okay, of people around us. I happen to have global entry, so we were through the fast line, theoretically speaking. But there were people who were in the global entry line and they had what's called a global passport. And they are like, I don't understand. I have a global passport. Well, what you think you have abroad is not the same thing that you have when you are here in the United States. Global entry is global entry. So it's called entry into the United States from a global perspective. It doesn't mean I have a global passport. So we saw many people in the wrong line. Same thing with people coming with passports from other countries where they don't need a visa. For example, they came through the US citizen line thinking, I don't have a visa, this is where I need to be. That is not the process. That is not what you are expected to do. That is not what you need to do when you go through there. Anyway, so one thing that they implemented at global entry was facial recognition. At no point did they even look at my passport. So they took a picture, they did facial recognition. I went past the officer verified the name with me by telling me my name, and then they allowed me in. And then more corridors and more walking and more of this going to baggage control, because you have to pick up your luggage before you go through customs. So of course, they are scanning all the luggage before you even pick it up. And if there is anything for them to worry about, you are going to be pulled over for customs. But it was a lot more traveling to a certain baggage claim and then traveling back. And I remember thinking to myself, I hate this. This is taking so long. I don't know why we are at this gate and we have to go on the other side of the airport to be in the other place and then come back here to go to customs again. It literally took about an hour and a half after we landed to get out. And that was with zero issue as a US citizen. It took forever. So here is the thing though. What we need to remember is we need to follow the process. We need to trust that the process that's in place is there for a reason. And if we are going to follow the process, everything will be okay. And this is the hardest thing that I have found to be able to explain to all my clients, especially when it comes to immigration. It is very difficult to tell the client, you need to allow the process to work its thing. You need to wait for the process. You need to wait for the government to give you a decision. Don't try to push it. Don't try to take a turn. Don't try to do a shortcut. Don't try to do things that are just not working properly. Okay. So just trust the process and go through the process. And I realized this, we are so ingrained into complaining about everything. Oh, this is not working this way. I can't believe I have to go that far there. I cannot believe I have to go that far there. We are always complaining about something when we really have nothing to worry about and nothing to complain about. I had absolutely zero to complain about yesterday because everything went exactly as it should. I got out. I went through the passport control. I went through customs. I picked up my luggage. I did go global entry. Everything went exactly as it was supposed to go, and yet I still complained. We are in such an environment where we feel we need to complain about everything, and it's so not true. If we actually stand down and think about it for a second, things are the way they need to be. Okay, so just trust the process, especially in immigration. Just trust the process, do the right thing, and trust the process. So let's address some of the questions. I see some of them on TikTok, so let's address some of them. Don't put your question twice. If I miss it, I'll get to it. Okay. What's the processing time for I-130? The processing time for I-130 depends on the petitioner's address, the category of filing. If you're filing for a spouse, if you're filing for a parent, if you're filing for what, and that's only on the first portion. And then it depends on where you are. Are you in California? Are you in Nebraska, Potomac, and so on? If you tell me more about it, I can actually look it up. And one self-petition EB3 without labor perm. Not for EB3? No. You can petition for EB2 NIW, or you can do EB1 without labor perm, but otherwise you need it. ACE Heating and Air, AOS denied, no NTA after 4 years. If ever get an NTA, how long can you actually fight and remove? Well, ACE, I'm not sure exactly. If your AOS was denied, you do not have the right to appeal that. They don't have to issue an NTA. There is no way to force the government to issue an NTA. We try sometimes because honestly, some people just want that NTA, but it's not always happening. You may never get it, okay? If you were denied AOS, maybe you have options of applying again, and that probably is the best way you can do. Okay, you might want to try a different category. You might want to try a different way to get that green card. If it was denied based on marriage fraud, then it probably needs to apply again with the same spouse. You may be able to have a marriage fraud waiver, but it depends. Okay. How long till my interview? NVC approved all my paperwork this January. When you say NVC approved all your paperwork in January, do you mean it was documentarily qualified? So if you are documentarily qualified, how long does it take for you to be scheduled for an interview does not depend on NVC. It depends on the actual consulate in the country where your interview is going to be. And the way that works is this. For example, right now we are in March. At the end of March, the specific consulate, each consulate is different. The specific consulate is going to send NVC an email that says, for the month of May, not April, because that's the next month, for the month of May, you can schedule 60 appointments or 600 appointments, depending on how much staffing they have and what the volume of the application they can handle in that month. So then NVC is going to look at how many people they have in that particular country, and they are going to process them in order. So if you are in the first 600, for example, but they only have 60 appointments, you're not getting in the month of May. If you are in the first 600 and they have 600, for example, and by the way, 60 or 600 are very arbitrary numbers just for point of illustration here, okay? So it really depends on how many appointments are available at your consulates. All right. How long does it take to get a work permit? On what category? Do IOE cases go quicker? Ciara, that is a fantastic question. And yes, sometimes they do, but it depends on the category. Okay, it depends on what type of application. It depends on also when you applied. And also what we have also seen is when you apply through IOE, that does not mean that is where they will get processed. They could be transferred to another location simply because of staffing issues, volume issues. And if that is the case, you will not know how much, if it's going to be faster or slower. It could be both. All right, let's see. How soon after joining the reserves can you use military PIP? After BCT or AIT? Generally after AIT, okay? Basic training is not sufficient. You need to be, it's after advanced, okay? It really depends. It really depends. You have to, see, you are considered active duty where you are in training when you're BCT or AIT. Okay, when you are in active duty, you are not actually reserve until you finish your training. Okay, so depends on who you are sponsoring, who you are petitioning for PIP. Okay. I'm said right now, I don't have any family to fill the I-134 form for me. Why do you need the I-134 filled out for you? Is that for humanitarian parole, or is that for you to be sponsored for a tourist visa? You do not need an I-134 to be sponsored, to be family member, or for a humanitarian parole. Does not have to be family. It could be friend. U.S. citizen filing for spouse abroad paid on February 2023 I-130. Anything I can do to speed up the process? No, there is nothing you can do to speed up the process unless you have extreme and exceptional reason to ask for that to be expedited. And it is very rare. It does happen. Is your spouse pregnant? Are you going through significant medical issues as a result of not being together with your spouse? Is your business suffering because your spouse is not here? I mean, it could be, there might be options for you to speed it up. But here's the thing, when you are applying to expedite anything with immigration, there is a two-part process. First, assuming that you have valid reason and you are submitting the expedite request, first things first, they need to accept to look at your expedite request. So that's one. Let's say they accept to look at your expedite request. They don't have to approve it. They can still deny it. Second thing is they need to approve it, right? So it's a two-part process. And there is no guarantee they'll speed it up anyway. If asylum is pending, can we apply for advanced parole to visit any other country? Theoretically, yes, as long as you're not going back to your country or a country similar to your country that is similar in the way that created the reason for you to apply for asylum. We advise all of our clients not to travel outside the United States with or without advanced parole. And for those of you who don't know, I'm an immigrant. It took me 16 years to get my papers. I know what it's like to not have to go back home. I know what it's like to not be able to go back home, to be able to be stuck here until who knows when the government decides that you can to go. Okay. So I advise all my clients not to travel until you have a green card in your hand. Okay. After you file a 751, what's the next process if you got the 2-year extension? So Sabrina, if you filed a 751, okay, generally speaking, when they gave you the receipt, they extended it by the 2 years, okay? Right now, the process is so slow that for new applications, they are actually extending it for 4 years instead of 2 years. If I were you and you filed a 751 joint with your spouse, I would try to file citizenship to get the case moving, assuming you are eligible. If you filed a 751 waiver, just stick on that case and stay on that case until who knows when. Okay? Let it go its course. Let it do whatever it needs to do. Okay? There might be ways for you to be able to get the case unstuck. If you already have the 2-year extension, at some point you will be able to get a brand new receipt that extends it for an additional 2 years. Any privilege filing for parents abroad as a U.S. Army? Yes, there are. I have applied for my mother-in-law and father-in-law a file, so how long will it take to get approved? Depends on what did you file for them. Did you apply for them to come here as visitors or how? Because you directly cannot petition for your in-laws. It would have to be your spouse who's petitioning for them if you are petitioning for green cards. Now, if you're just applying for them for a tourist visa, it takes as long as it takes, depending on your consulate. You can go visa wait times online, and it will tell you how long it's going to take in your particular country to get a B2 visa. Okay, let's see. What are the options for someone on an F2 visa to get a work permit? I don't do a lot of those, frankly, and I do not know. I know that F2 visas cannot work. I think they can only go to school, but I'm not sure. To be honest on that one, I don't know. I'm from West Africa. My dreams to travel to the US. Okay. I reapplied for green card 5 months ago. How long will it take to get me my green card? I don't have enough information based on what you told me to be able to answer that. Graduating in linguistics, I like to know if there is an opportunity to go and study there. You can always apply for a student visa to come to the United States to study English. First, what you need to do is find a school in the United States who handles foreign students, who accept foreign students. Then you need to be approved and accepted into that particular school. You need to show that you can pay the tuition. And they will give you a form. That form is called an I-20 form. And with that form, then you can apply for the student visa to come to the United States. And then your visa will be valid for your course of study. Okay. All right. Let's see. I've been living last 6 years. Can I apply for asylum? Yes and no. Here's the thing. You can apply for asylum at any time. Generally speaking, the government expects that you apply for asylum within 1 year of arrival in the United States or within 1 year of significant changes in the situation in your country, such as that it prevents you from going back by fear of future persecution. So if you have that, then yes, you can apply for asylum. F1, married to green card holder, I-130 approved, visa expire, I-130 still valid. What's next? Okay, so Mac, what I suggest that you do is, you cannot screw this up, okay? Contact an experienced immigration attorney and have them handle it for you. You do not want to play with this, okay? Things can go wrong really fast. Now, you married a green card holder and you are on a valid visa. The particular visa category on the visa bulletin is current, so theoretically you can adjust status within the United States. Timing is critical in your case. Do not screw this up. Contact an immigration lawyer. Don't do it on your own. What's the meaning of asylum? Asylum is a form of humanitarian relief that allows you to apply for temporary shelter, okay, from past persecution in your country, or if you fear future persecution if you were to return to your country. The difference between a refugee and an asylee is, when you apply for refugee status, you are applying for that status from outside the United States. When you are applying for asylum, you apply for that already when you're already in the United States. If I withdraw my 824 case, will that affect my approved I-130? Why would you withdraw any I-824 case? So you have an I-130 approved. So do you want now to be processed at the consulate, or do you want now to be processed in the United States? What are you trying to do? Okay. I got my case 22 months from NVC, unmarried son, green card holder. How much longer I have to wait? Oh boy, that's going to take a little bit longer. Let me see for you. You guys know that you can check that on the visa bulletin. Really, all you have to do is go to Google and do visa bulletin. And then you just need to make sure that you have the proper category for your case. So in your case, okay, you have your son, you are a permanent resident, so we are looking for an unmarried son of a permanent resident. I wish this thing would pop up. It takes a little bit longer when I'm on video, so hold on. Let's see. Okay. Unmarried son. Okay. Unmarried son or daughter, I'm assuming, is over the age of 21, have to be, depending on the country of origin. Okay. Let's assume you are not from China, India, Mexico, or the Philippines. Then right now they are processing cases filed in January 2017. So you got ways to go. We are looking at 6 to 7 years minimum right now. Can someone get the green card if got caught once, came right back in 1990 and stayed all before IRIRA in 97? Yeah, you know more about this than you're leading on. So yes, and you know the answer to this also, because I know by the way you phrase the question, okay? You know what? You know the answer to this. I'm not going to answer that for you. All right, F1, married to green card holder. I-130, I already answered that one. Let's see. Oops, boy. Okay, hold on. Okay. How long does it take to get an EAD after biometrics? It depends on the category. Is it based on pending asylum, approved asylum, DACA, TPS? What is it based on? Pending adjustment? Where is it? It depends. Usually after they do the biometrics, you just go through normal processing. Work permits right now, they are quite slow, 7 to 9 months from the time of filing. It doesn't go by the time of your biometrics. Okay, so I'm at the NVC stage and I was told to file 824 to make the process faster. 824 does not make any process go faster. So whoever told you that, I don't know, doesn't make it go any faster. If you are already at the NVC stage and you are not in the United States, the 824 would do absolutely nothing for you, okay? I applied to my mother. How old can she bring her children with her? It depends. Okay, it depends. In certain cases, your your mom can bring minor children, but not your siblings. In most cases, they cannot. Your mother actually, because they don't get to be riders on her application. The government doesn't want you to find a workaround, okay? So they basically will want your mother to get permanent residency first, and then they would want her to bring her other children. And of course, some of them may age out at that point, and instead of being children, they'll be considered unmarried sons and daughters, and there's not much we can do about that. Living 6 years in the US, can I apply for asylum? I addressed that for you. Will it be a problem if you apply for your work permit if your address is different than your spouse? Well, Tanasha, why would your address be different than your spouse? How are you applying for your work permit? If you are married and you are not living with your spouse, is that because of his employment, your employment? Is it because for other reasons you need to live elsewhere? Why would that be the case? Yes, it's going to raise issues. Are you the abused spouse of a US citizen or permanent resident? If that's the case, depending on your type of application, it may not matter if you are applying for that work permit with a different address. Okay, so you might want to talk to an immigration lawyer before you do that. Okay, people, you guys need to understand one thing. Immigration is never, ever, ever about filling out a form. Ever. Immigration is not about filling out forms. That's what they want you to believe. Okay, let's see. Can I apply for asylum for the family outside the United States? If you are already in the United States and you are applying for asylum for yourself, you must have listed your entire family from abroad. They will be able to follow to join you if your asylum gets approved. All right, let's see. How much are the consultation? I want to know if there is a case. Give our office a call, or you can follow the link on our biographic page. Okay, you can see in our bio, and follow that link, and it will give you different consultation options. Our consultations are not free. All right. How do you know if you are in removal procedures? Okay, so here is how you know. You look through your immigration paperwork and you look for your alien number. Once you have the alien number, you call the EOIR hotline, and you can do your case status online. You do EOIR case status, okay? And you put your alien number there. If it says we cannot find a record with your alien number, then you're not in removal. If it comes up with a name, date, location where you need to go to court, then you are in removal proceedings, okay? And USCIS Web 130 will take 7 months, but doesn't say processing time for 485. Yes, it does. Here is the thing. When you are applying for full adjustment of status, so you're applying I-130 and 485, you never look at the processing time for the I-130 because it will not matter. It's always the processing time for the 485. The location for the 485 that you need to put online when you look online, it's the location of your local office. So if you live in Florida, it could be Hialeah, Miami, Oakland Park. That's the one you need to have, okay? All right, so I've been doing this for 25 minutes. Talk to you guys later, and I think I'm scheduled to see you again all on Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. So talk to you soon. Bye.